Morning, Julie. Welcome to Leeds.
Yeah, I know. It's soggy Leeds.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah, I know.
As a friend of mine says, it's filthy. The weather is filthy. So
Definitely feels it. That's for sure.
and you live a long way away.
Yeah, it took me about 4.25 hours last night, so quite a long time. But actually, I quite like it. I quite like that bit, that being in the car and having time with your thoughts, which is not really what I spend a lot of time doing. I do a lot more talking. So it was really nice to spend like 4 hours, just a little bit of silence as well as some music to kind of get me going, singing very, very loudly.
Oh, what was singing
also
today?
good. Anything that comes on, don't really care. But it's that one of those things where you know a few of the words, but you don't know all of them.
So the big chorus, you go loud, you go large.
Really good with chorus, not so good with all the other words. Amazing. That's good. Yeah, it's really nice.
Well, I'm super privileged that you've driven 4 hours. Having had the kind of decompression time and the chill time is lovely. So I'm glad we gave you that. But I'm super glad that you've kind of joined me today. And for us, it's a bit of a role reversal, isn't it? Because the reason that we're here today is to talk about our kind of working relationship and also the friendship that's then come from that.
Indeed.
So this is kind of a bit of a role reversal that I'm interviewing you, because usually it's the other way around. So do you want to just tell me and just remind everybody or remind me and tell people what it is that you do?
Yeah. Well, I really work with businesses and ultimately people, which is an absolute pleasure. Love it. Every minute of every day, I enjoy what I do. And what is that specifically? Well, I spend, I guess, most of my time asking people questions, asking them questions to help them to get to think and asking them questions to help them find their solutions. So I spend time as an executive coach as well as a team coach, really helping people get the best out of what they do. So that's kind of what I do, really. Yeah.
And you work with kind of various organisations, don't you?
Yeah.
Kind of international?
Global organisations. So I get a little bit of travelling in as well, which is absolutely amazing. So I love to travel. And so I feel, again, very blessed to have the opportunity to get on planes occasionally, obviously, only occasionally, and get that experience of being in different cultures. So I think that's just one of the amazing things is when you spend time in different organisations, but in different countries as well, is just opens your eyes to the diversity in the world and just how we're all wired so differently. And that's just amazing.
Yeah. No, I completely kind of agree and resonate with that. And
because you like traveling as well.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I love to travel.
Yeah.
And so that's why COVID was like such a challenge, wasn't it? And sort of, you couldn't travel at all anywhere, let alone kind of overseas and stuff. So yeah, it's one of those things that, I've talked before about this, that one of my favorite places is Australia.
Yeah.
And the reason that I love to go to Australia is, apart from anything else, I'm 25 hours on a plane where no one can get me and I completely decompress. And it's that kind of thing that you were just talking about being in the car. It's that time where I completely chill. And then I end up the other side of the world as well, where again, it's that kind of escape and it's just, just beautiful. So sunshine and Bondi and sea. And so no, I agree. So we've known each other now. I was trying to think about this on the way here today. Quite a while, haven't we? So
double digits.
No, probably not quite double digits. No, don't age us, lady. Don't age us any more than we need.
It's been great. Double digits. I love double digits. They're great. You just got to embrace it.
Okay, we'll pretend it's double digits, but I actually don't think it is. I think it's about 6 or 7 years, something like that, I think, isn't it? And we were introduced by a colleague of mine who's worked with you before. And I think she said, you need to meet Julie because she's brilliant. And what she's going to do is she'll really help us develop our team from good to great. And we hear that a lot.
Yeah.
But she will, because she is very authentic. She's really on the money. She kind of digs in and delves into kind of the detail, gives people feedback on the spot and tells them where they're going wrong and where they're not, and massively kind of brings kind of immediate impact to a group and a team. And I was a bit like, yeah, right, because I'm like that. I always think that, I want to improve.
Let's see it.
Yeah, let's see it. And I remember I actually can see now where we were when I was with Emma, who obviously introduced us, and we were. I was talking to you on the phone, and I was like, no, she's good. This lady's good. And we've worked together since then, haven't we? In a number of arenas where you have helped me and my team and colleagues, and that's been my peer group, which was interesting. It's also been my own teams and, organizations of teams that I've led. But you also have helped me enormously. And I think that's one of the things that I wanted to kind of really draw out today, is this point that, you sent me an article on kind of my career journey about a number of things, about becoming a new CEO, actually, which is very much what this is about. And one of those points was how to kind of make that leap and to sort of, to that, I suppose, transfer your abilities and your behaviors into that new role and lean into it. And one of the things that this article kind of explained was that you need a really strong inner circle, which isn't just your team, but it's also kind of a wider group of individuals that give you that wider influence and stuff. And so you've been helping me do that for some time. What's your views on that? Do you agree that kind of inner circles are a really key thing for a development of a leader?
I mean, absolutely, for so many different reasons. But I guess that the first bit is, being blessed with working with so many people in different organizations. There's this piece that goes all the way through it, which is we are all human beings, which means we all come with our own vulnerabilities. Big ones, little ones, whatever it is, but they're there. And I think that what I notice so much is that as individuals move through the ranks in an organisation, and actually it doesn't really matter about moving through the ranks, but it's definitely there when people move through organisations. They kind of almost feel that their shoulders have got to get broader. I've got to deal with it. I've got to hold it myself. That's a load of old rubbish, really. In terms of, there's that vulnerability that we all have about wanting to do a good job. And if you hold it just yourself, that's a really big boulder to be holding yourself. And so for me, I think it becomes increasingly important to be able to express what is really going on for you, have those vulnerabilities, and have those people that you can really just say it as it is. And do it without worrying about how people might perceive it. And for you to just be very authentic in that moment and vulnerable. So yeah, absolutely. To have a few people around you, those people that you can have those conversations with openly is incredibly important as you lead teams and also organizations.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's one of those things that I suppose what I'm doing at the moment is, now that I've reached the kind of heady heights of a CEO, which is, and been an ambition of mine, I've been kind of reflecting and I've been kind of wondering, should I have done this sooner? Should I have pushed myself sooner? And I've talked before about how I think I kind of put myself in a bracket that I was a really good number 2. And that's what I thought that I was. I thought
that conversation with you.
Exactly. Saw it. I'm a great COO, I'm an absolute, yes, I'm strategic, but I'm a great operator. Don't give me all that networking rubbish to do. It's not who I am. I don't like putting myself forward. And that's a lot of the reason I do this now in terms of the podcasts and, a lot of the sort of social media stuff that I still do, is because I feel that people who are probably like me need to be in a world where if they do feel that it's something that they want to do, then go for it. Go for it. But it's having that tools to do it. And I think that had I met someone like you even longer ago, when I was probably in my kind of early 30s, in the middle of my career, when, I was a director at that stage, if I'd have had that executive coach like you, who would have helped me to sort of like see things from a wider, broader perspective and tell me that it's okay, but challenge me like you do, wider than just your boss or your teams or your peers. It's so refreshing. And so what would you say to kind of like your kind of 30-year-old self? What would you say in that sense? Would you do the same thing?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's something that is really important, regardless of what your role is, just for you as a human being, is that we all have those moments where we doubt either our capabilities or the impact we're having or what we're good at, what we're not so good at. But it's not always the truth. And we can hold that truth for such a long time that it either slows us down or stops us doing stuff. And so when I think about I set my business up 23 years ago, and oh my God, I wish I'd set it up 33 years ago.
Yeah.
But why didn't I? Because actually, I don't think I had those people that were doing that rally cry of flip, you can do this, or what is it you want to do? Give it a try, and that encouragement in a different way. I absolutely got those people around me now. And what I notice that they do is they'll tell me how it is. They'll tell me what I'm doing well. They'll tell me those things that, I could have done differently, and they'll encourage me to go that extra mile. So if we could turn back the clock, God, wouldn't that be amazing? There'd be a few places I'd definitely go back to and replay in a different way.
Oh, for sure.
But if I could go back, I would seek out those moments where I'd check in, pause, check in, and ask other people to push me that little bit, because I certainly think that I'd have made a couple of different choices, and I certainly would have, and I think taken slightly different paths. And so now what I would say is I embrace it much, much more. If I'm feeling something, then that there are those moments where I think, well, I got to check it out. Is that really the truth? Is that the truth? Yes or no? And having those people that I go to have those conversations makes all the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And do you think that things have changed over the years as well? I was giving this kind of some thought, that we talk now, don't we, much more openly about authenticity, vulnerability. Yeah. We talk about, one of the things that I'm really keen to do is to be my authentic self, and that's and it's becoming an overused phrase. But I think now that's also why I'm more confident to do things like this and to put myself on my head above a parapet, because I would never have done that before, because I felt that there were corporate molds you had to fit into and stuff, which I've never fitted into.
Yeah.
So do you think things are changing in that way? And because now we openly talk about things like mental health as well, do you think that that's helped your business because people are more inclined to seek help or to seek advice? Yeah. Have you seen a difference in the past 23 years in that cultural change?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I think cultural change, and that's about individuals, but it's also about businesses. It's also out in the world, isn't it? And I say that because, first of all, saying you're having coaching, in years gone by, it was because you weren't performing.
Yeah.
You got a coach. Yeah, well, gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah, what have you done? Are you on report?
Yeah,
it'd be like being at school, isn't it? Yeah.
And that's how it used to be. Whereas now, everybody's like, oh my God, I've got a coach.
Yeah.
And people are quite excited about that. So there's that first piece, I think. When we think about from a business perspective, that organizations are seeing it very differently. People have got unique areas that they want to work on, and having somebody that just helps them unlock that is pretty amazing. So we get that. That's that first piece.
Yeah.
And then we just take it down to life. I mean, I just think about my kids who are late teens, early 20s. And they literally go with open arms to go, okay, I need to talk about this. I've got people that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to express how I'm feeling, much more comfortable with being vulnerable and say what's going on for them. So I think the world has changed dramatically, and for the better in terms of people expressing what's going on for them, which I think is really making a difference. And it leads me, I guess, to something slightly different, which is this piece around psychological safety, people feeling safe to express themselves.
Yeah.
So there's this huge shift, I believe, in, and again, I'm going to go back to the workplace for a minute, but when we're at work, people's desire to be able to express what's going on for them is really, really, much stronger now. And so it encourages us as leaders to have those conversations. So that's a big tick.
Yeah.
Giving people really understanding what's going on in order for people to be their best version of themselves. So that's that one piece. The second piece for me is about inclusion, and that, and being able to, get other people's points of view and ask people what they're thinking. So in the past, it was quite hierarchical potentially. And it depended on your level or position or your role. Whereas now I think we're moving into this wonderful spot where everybody is able to express themselves and are included in conversations to get the best output. So I think this is really nice shift that we're getting now, which is about getting people to express what's going on for them, as that helps us to really do what we want to do in our lives as well as at work. And the second bit is about including people in conversations in order to get that diversity of thinking, which is also important. But it takes me a little bit back to that bit about, inner circle, the world of inner circles.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely guarantee, and knowing you like I do, that a big part of what you've got is diversity in that inner circle.
Yeah.
People that you've met in your life, people that you've met at work, people that you've come across, and how having that diversity of people, having different views is like a gift. Being able to have that from the people in that circle that we all have. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think you're spot on with that. And, because you have them, as you say, in life. So you've got your inner circle, your family, you've got your inner, if you're lucky enough to have family, if you've got, really good friends around you. And then there's your work inner circle. And sometimes there's a blurring of those boundaries as well, because, we've become really, great friends over the years, haven't we? And that's fun as well. That doesn't mean you don't tell me off and that you don't kind of like push me and push me. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think you're right about that. One of the things that I've learned, again, as I've got older and as I've progressed in my career, and people always sort of say it, is that you surround yourself with great people.
Yeah.
But I think I surround myself with people who make me look good.
Yeah.
Which is
talking about my outfit.
I am talking about your outfit. So if you think about it from that perspective, so there's you for a start, who's really helped me over the years since we've worked together, and I think I've grown in confidence because of that. But that's not because you tell me what I want to hear, far from it.
Yeah.
And actually that's helped. That whole, we talk now about, the ability to, it's okay to fail, or it's okay to kind of, get things wrong. And, you've been great in that and stuff. And then there's people like Abby, who I've talked about before, who's, is like, she's my chief of staff, my girl Friday, my, girl every day and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we have a conversation and I grab it on, and then she'll just take what I say and just make it look great, And then there's people like Victoria and Simon, who I've been working with for a long time, and who made me, in a way, do all of this kind of stuff around social media, because I didn't even have a Facebook account. But what that's done is it's made me really authentically accepted by not only my colleagues, but also my customers.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that they said that I got my CEO role was because the customers who were part of the interview panel went online and Googled me, because Simon says you are what Google says you are.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my actual God, is that true? So I've made a real concerted effort to kind of show more of me. And so that's amazing. So that's in the work sense.
Yeah.
And, on all of those things I am not good at, but those people make me look really great. And
actually, I would suggest that they bring out the best.
That's what they would say, but no, I just think they make me look good.
No, stop it now.
No, honestly.
No, that's not true. It's much.
So I have a hairdresser as well. I have a hairdresser, and I have a beautician, and I have all of that in a circle as well. I feel like I'm Mariah Carey sitting here with like some big entourage. I'm sounding like now. I need to shut up. So.
But the thing for me, it's not about making you look good. For me, it's one of the words that you said, which is about the confidence and the authenticity. Because it's that, isn't it? Is you having this group of people around you that you just are you with. You're able to say it as it is. You're able to feel confident that you're not being judged in the moment, and they'll see it as you intend it. But let's face it, that doesn't always happen in our walks of life. Yeah. So it's that ability to have those people that are around you that create that safety. And then it means that you shine. And I was saying you, of course, we all shine. One shines.
Yeah.
And so I think that for me, when you describe it like that, is the power of the inner circle, is having, people that we have come across in our lives, that just, it happens, it works, and we can be in the moment with them, and it creates something magical. But there is something, as we talk about it, the two other things that really jump to mind to me. One is that, being really careful that people don't think that the inner circle is just something that's very exclusive and they're
elite.
Elite.
Exactly.
Because it can feel really horrid. I mean, if I'm very honest, I remember this really vividly from school, and actually we had a conversation from this. It's that whole piece when you're there at school and you're the last one gets picked, when you're stood in that line. I mean, it still haunts me to today.
Yeah.
But it's a horrible feeling. And I think, that becomes really important as you lead an organization, is how do you make, and it's not make, how are you inclusive? How do you, share your inner circle?
Totally.
How do you network people up? Because people are brilliant, and therefore share the love. There's a big part of, I think, your role is about how you can open people's eyes, how you can share that love and learning, and they then operate at their best. And for me, that is the most amazing thing about the role that you have and the reach and the touch you can have as a CEO in an organization. Actually, it's nothing about you and you looking good. It's about the love because of who you are that you spread across the organization. And that is the power of an inner circle for me. So that was the first thing that I was going to say. And the second bit, so that piece around being inclusive, because otherwise it feels really naff for people looking into it. And the second bit, which I kind of said is how do you share it? Because it's really important as well to give. And the beauty of having an inner circle that works really well is the ripples it can create to those around you and sharing of that love. An example for me is, when we have our friendship groups, one of the most amazing things for me, is about having the people that are in your world and have been around for however long, but then joining them up. So I think there's nothing better than joining up all the people around you.
Agreed.
And I know you and I, kind of have that as well, where we say, actually, you should speak to this person. Yeah. This person would be great for that situation. And what about that? And so my second piece is that whole notion of giving, sharing it, creating ripples with your inner circle. Otherwise it becomes exclusive and elite. In natural fact, that isn't such a great thing.
I couldn't agree more with that. And you talking about your experience at school takes me back too, because you've said it can have the adverse effect, because actually it's like anything, isn't it? Strength becomes a weakness.
Yeah.
So a strength of an inner circle is amazing when it works and the way that you've described it. But then when it flicks to click.
Yeah. Horrid.
And becomes a clique.
Yeah.
It's not at all.
No.
And I'm very, very conscious of that. And the reason I'm conscious of that is that, like you, not just at school, in business.
Yeah.
When you've seen teams who operate and appear to operate incredibly strongly, but that's because they are this exclusive clique that will not let anyone else in. And after a period of time, that just does not work. No. It hits a threshold where, yes, you've achieved X, but until you can widen your experiences, widen your, collaboration with others. Yeah. So I completely agree with that. And again, I think that takes me back to, if you knew then what you know now.
Yeah.
And you're right. One of the things that, joking apart about this kind of, entourage that I've now decided that I've got, as if, right. But no, it's, I talk a lot about joining the dots.
Yeah.
And joining the dot. And one of the things, having moved into the new role and as a new CEO, I've been able, very, very lucky, to take with me experiences that I've learned, relationships that I've made with others at other times in different parts of my career, and that you see an opportunity or you see patterns emerge and you think, that's what I need.
Yeah.
So when recently I was able to bring you in to help me with the current team and how we were kind of developing together, because, you know, we were norming, storming, forming and all of that. And, you know, a lot of change, a lot of cultural change we had to deal with. And then I was able to bring you in and get you to work with Simon and Victoria, who I've worked with in a number of years in a number of other areas, but you came together collectively. And now as a result, you know, we've driven a business plan for the next 5 years. We're launching our purpose, our vision and our values for the organization. And I've been able to do that by having your collective mindsets with the collective mindsets of the team. So you've got such varying kind of views, and it's really powerful and really exciting when you bring all that together. And it's just the power of people, isn't it?
And you saying that was exactly what I was thinking. You know, actually, we talk about an inner circle. So what on earth is it? When we talk about an inner circle, it's just about having that collection of people around you that brings something special, that give you something. And I mean, without, you know, not expecting anything from it, but just give something. They're either their skills or their way to unlock you, or allowing you to be vulnerable, that people around you that just, help each of you achieve what you want to achieve. That's what it's about. And it's about the power of collaborating, being around individuals and seeing the uniqueness of individuals. And if we just see it that way, then actually we notice that having an inner circle can only be amazing. It can only be something that makes you smile every day because you're able to operate at your best. And then if you can share it around and more people have these connections, because in today's world, the most important thing is collaboration. We can't do it on our own. No. And that's one of the things that, you know, always strikes me with you when, over the years that we've worked together, is you're always about collaborating. You're always about doing it together. You're always about doing it in terms of being a team and using everybody's uniqueness. Well, that's just about the power of people, isn't it? And if we can find those ones that really unlock us and help us achieve what we need to achieve in life, in our businesses, then we're in a good place. So it's amazing when you just know and you get that lovely rhythm, and that's built, I think, a bit like you're describing with the people around you, by just having experiences together.
Yeah.
And that really helps us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I accredit my kind of views on collaboration. I think I always take that back to, it's pivotal times in your life, isn't it? And one of mine was when I trained to be a nurse. Yeah. And, you know, I've cited this before, but if you're on a trauma ward, or, you know, if you're in a really kind of difficult, challenging environment, and you've got people's lives at risk, and you are there to help them, you have to work as a team. You absolutely do, you know, and the times that you don't, then it's life and death. And that's not to kind of, you know, be overdramatic. That's absolutely as it is. Yeah. So I think for me, you know, from a young age, I learned that. And I think it's one of those real life experiences for me, that I've never been in a world where, you know, it's one person, or it's not. The power of people is really, really key. And there's something else that you said there as well as you were talking, is this whole thing about kind of elevating people, and you know, the more conversations you have just make you feel better and brighter. And one of the things I probably just would like to kind of just really highlight is, one of the things for me that really helps with conversations is, I can, like others, you can have a really, really bad day, like a really tough day, that all sorts of things have come at you, and you feel so unbelievably exhausted. And we tend to have our coaching sessions, don't we? Like late on in the evening, like, well, not in the evening, but in the afternoon. It's kind of the end of the day, back end of the day, kind of 5, 6 o'clock. And I'll be honest, there are some days I look at that diary and I think, oh my God, I have to do this, because she is going to push me, and she is going to challenge me, and she's going to say things to me like, okay, so what would you have done differently? And, well, are you really on top of that? And so, you know, and I think, oh God, I just don't have the energy for it. But I do it. And every single time, without fail, I come away feeling energized again, because what you've done is you pulled me out of that mire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of, you know, and it is that point of that mile when you're tired and all you really want to do is curl up on the sofa and feel very sorry for yourself because you had a tough day. Yeah. And it's like, no, and you do it. And there are others as well that, again, within that inner circle that do that. But I think that's the power of the coaching. Yeah. As well. And you said earlier that, you know, it's much more widely available now. And it's something that, you know, I would absolutely advocate for people to have someone that can really push you and challenge you, but it becomes a real positive cleansing kind of thing that it's like, yeah, I'm good to go again now. Yeah, I'm stopping sort of feeling sorry for myself.
Absolutely.
I'm back on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the major things, you know, as human beings, we have our videos playing, which tells a story, doesn't it? And if we don't check that story out, then we keep that story as the truth. I mean, the times that we've had conversations and it'd be like, okay, is that really the truth? Is that really what's happening? But we tell ourselves these things based on our experiences, because as human beings, we are our experiences. And so we play that forward. So one of the things that is just so important is that reflection. And I think actually, you know, it gets, as I go through my life and you asked, you know, what is it what would you do and what would be good for you to know earlier on? I talk quite a lot and I run quite fast and life was quite fast. Given my time again, and I do it much, much more now for our drive, but it's to pause and reflect. Because quite often if we're running our stories of the truth and we keep going without stopping and going, is that really what's happening? Is that really what is going on? Is that really what I think? And when you do pause or have that person to ask you that question, especially when you're feeling vulnerable, it is incredibly important to just reflect and go, no, you're absolutely right. I said it was absolutely traumatic and horrific. And in actual fact, it's quite funny. You know, it's just that moment. And if you don't get that right and repositioned, this whole piece of you can walk through and can keep on walking without being confident, without going, no, actually I can do this. And does it matter if that went wrong? Because I've learned something. Whereas there's a lot of people who are perfectionists and really want to nail it. And again, in businesses, it becomes really important as we are what we deliver often in some organizations. So if you've had something that's not gone right, that could be really drastic for people. And it's not the truth. It's a learning moment. You need those people around you. We go back to the inner circle. You need those people around you, whether it's a coach, a mate, your partner, a colleague. It doesn't matter who it is, your kids. My kids are really good at doing that to me in a really positive way. They're saying, well, is that right? It wasn't that bad, was it? And you go, yeah, actually it wasn't. I've learned something. And I think that, again, if I were to go back 30 years, God, that's a long time ago. If I were to go back 30 years, I'd slow down a bit and have times when I paused, because I would have viewed things quite differently. But maybe I wouldn't be here today, Debbie.
Well, you see,
so therefore,
I'm looking at you and I don't believe a word of that. Because, in the nicest possible way, because...
Don't fib.
I'm not saying that you're fibbing. I just wonder whether, I mean, as you say, reflection, I completely agree with that, like wholeheartedly, 100%, and completely do. But I don't know that you would have ever been because it is who you are. You running around, absolutely high energy, high octane. Then I can't think for a minute that you.
Yeah, maybe an odd pause.
Just more holidays. Maybe. I think maybe is what you mean.
God, that would be nice,
yeah. I think that's what you actually
more
mean.
Holidays and slightly more reflection.
So on that subject, then, as the kind of a very, very successful coach, which is what you are, international businesses, I mean, I very often think, what on earth does she do with me? Because I'm like,
That's
like
brilliant.
The comedic value. No, I'm not. I'm the comedic value. But anyway, irrespective of that. So who is your inner circle? You talked about the kids, but who else? Do you have, because I know that you have colleagues who are also coaches that kind of work, within your team. Do you go to them? Do you have sort of like almost reflective practice? Do you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have a coach as well. So whenever, it's one of those things when
can I meet them? Have a drink? Find out about you?
Mine.
Okay.
Mine or mine.
Oh, okay.
So for me, one of those those things is because I spend quite a lot of time supporting other people, like supporting, challenging, then it's some of that can stay with you. So therefore it's really important for me to check, to make sure that I'm being true to being able to support individuals and don't hold stuff. And also to reflect on, well, how did I do? What do I need to do differently? What am I learning? How do I need to be? So I have somebody that supports me in that way. And I do that regularly. Just to keep me sane and ish. And then, I have people in business, that have skills that are amazing, that again, I'll go and bounce different ideas, around with what about this? What about that? How do we do this? What do you think on this? So that whole piece around getting insights from other people in businesses. So I'll do that with my clients, have conversations with them about different ideas or different things I want to talk about. My team, I have individuals in my team that I will always go to because they will always challenge my thinking. I run fast. I come up with loads of ideas and then I have to try to nail it. So it's that person that will say to me, right, okay, so what are you going to do about Julie? So sometimes we can be really good at supporting others in certain ways, but we don't always have it yourself. So I have people in work, but I also have some friends who are absolutely amazing at always being that in those moments where I'm doubting myself too.
Yeah.
And I'm able to truly show my vulnerabilities with them. And when I'm not in a business environment and being able to put me on an even kill, and having older kids is amazing. Is that pretty good at it as well? Yeah, absolutely. So role reversal a little bit with the children, which is an amazing thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, reverse mentoring is really key. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I have amazing stepchildren who I have such a great relationship with, and I love to spend time with them because you just do get that different perspective on life. And I had to really adapt to become a stepmom because that's not an easy thing to do either, and it's not an easy thing for stepkids to adapt to a stepmom. So we went through a whole kind of process of that. So now they've kind of they've become part of that inner circle in a different way. And my husband is he's older than me, but he was a CEO of an organization way before I was. So he's a great person to kind of kick things around with as well. But then he worked in very different environments to I did. So sometimes, he's quite he can be quite harsh and cutthroat. I had a conversation with the other way. Oh, well, just want to just literally just get their knee on their throat and just make sure. He didn't actually say that, but he's now currently an author as well. He's written a number of crime thrillers. So of course you have to be very careful because otherwise, what he really wants to kill people. That would be
and he knows how to do it.
Yeah, and he knows how to do it very randomly. Yeah. And then, but joking apart, you talk about, vulnerabilities. My best friend is a psychotherapist. So, if I, ever and want to talk about things from a really kind of vulnerable level, she's brilliant. But then I know she uses me for that same purpose as well.
But as you describe that and talk about CEOs, the other thing that I'm struck by is when if we stay for a minute in the role of working in business, and inner circles, etc. It's absolutely, it's known by everybody that the higher up the ranks you go, the lonelier place it is. And I think, and it's no different than, being in families, for example, when you're top of the tree and a lonely place that can be, we take on those responsibilities. And I know from working with you how seriously you take on your responsibilities, about individuals, and how seriously you take it on that, about the organization that you lead. So there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. But my point that I wanted to make was this piece around the higher you go up, actually the lonelier it can feel. And because, there's this view that you have to feel like you're strong and feel like you're able to hold it for everybody. And it's a really big deal. And I guess for me, from working with a number of individuals who hold senior positions, it's really important, therefore, to be able to have conversations without judgment, and conversations where you can just speak, say it as it is, say what you're not sure about, without feeling like you've just got to be brave every minute of every day. And that, I think, is really important. So do you feel that as you've moved through your career as well, that the roles, the higher you go up, actually, the lonelier it is, and how important it is for you to have that, again, that safety net of the people around you, that you can just speak it as it is?
Completely. Yeah. Absolutely. Going back to the conversation we were having a little while ago when I said to you that, I'd always positioned myself that I was a good number 2.
Yeah.
And I've worked in the main for large organizations with, a whole kind of, I suppose, a safety net and a whole heap of kind of talented people in varying different departments around you. One of the things when I kind of set upon the journey to become a CEO last year was that, a number of people, you, one of them, the previous CEO that I worked with, had said to me, it's lonely. My dad, Mark, my husband, had all kind of said, it's lonely. It is lonely at the top, and you kind of think that when you've been number 2 of a or part of an exec team of a very large organization, you think that, but you don't.
No,
you really don't.
Until you feel it, you don't.
You really don't. Yeah. And it has been one of the things. And I remember having a conversation fairly recently with Emma, actually, and who we said we both know. And I was saying to her, it's maybe a smaller organization than the one that I worked for before, but it's a much bigger job.
Yeah,
a much bigger job, and it can at times be like you kind of, you look around you and there's just, there's the inner circle and there's all the people, and I have a great team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They're a great team of people. They're brilliant. And I'm very, very privileged to be working with them, and got some fantastic characters. It's amazing. But you look around some days and you go, no, my God, I'm 5'1" and I've got to make that decision. And it's
they're all looking at you.
Yeah, they are.
To do that.
We have size 2 feet, don't we? And it is that is the thing. And that's the truest thing that anyone said, which again is so important that I have those conversations with, with you, with Mark, with Veronica, my friend, with other people within the circle that you feel that you can check with, you can reflect, you can do a kind of a sanity check. Have I got this right? And some of it is very practical.
Yeah.
Some of it with Mark, for example, be look, the practicality of this, if I do this and this and this, and commercially, if that was it would say, that's great. So you've got that. But then in other times it is whoa, hang on a second. It's just that whole kind of feeling of, the unintended consequence. If I do this, where will that go? And how will people react? And that whole thing that, you really want to drive forward an organization with a fantastic, inclusive culture that people feel that they can share their issues and their challenges, but you're not going to please all the people all the time. And for me, happy colleagues is happy customers. That's absolutely the core of things for me. But again, you can't please all the people all the time. And, things that come at you on a daily basis that you look at that people expect you to make the decision on. And and that's great. And that's the life I've chosen, for sure. Like I've said, so this is no pity party. This is kind of, I wanted this role. I've been in leadership roles for over 20 years. I was, I ran a nursing unit when I was 21. I know what it's like, but it doesn't mean that, some days it's just, it's a bit lonely, but hey, so are other people, aren't they? It is what it is.
And almost in essence, what's that describing as well is you're actually never on your own.
No.
And even if you don't, if you're not needing to articulate it, you never feel on your own. And I think that's also really important. So it's not always when you've got a group of people around you that are friends, colleagues, individuals that you've come across, somebody that you've just met in a cafe that all of a sudden you've had a nice conversation with. But the ultimate piece is that, when you feel and truly feel like you're not on your own, you therefore feel stronger to make those decisions, even if you've not had to talk it out with them. Just the fact that they've got your back.
Yeah.
And they will know what was in your heart, what was in your mind, and what was in your gut in order to make that decision. And if it was a right or a wrong decision, actually it doesn't matter, because what is they'll be there surrounding you to help to make sure that you're good. And I think that's, again, we haven't really spoken about that too much. But I think that's a really important factor when we talk about how we feel internally about it, because it just gives you a warmth. And that's really important when we go through our lives, work or home, that we just feel it. And that's good to go.
That's amazing. It kind of feels like that's a really good place to stop. It kind of feels like you've just teed that up really nicely, and said everything that I think what I wanted to convey really with this podcast. And, for people who are listening that just get the views that it is the power of people, it's the power of collaboration, it's the power of being able to talk and listen and just take on all that inclusivity of just different people around you, and just hope others have the opportunity to do the same. But thank you so much.
Welcome, pleasure.
It's as always, it's been a blast.
Good to chat.
Always. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.